Salesmen love flashy cars because buyers get emotional fast. Smart buyers do the opposite. They look for the cars nobody brags about, nobody posts, and nobody rushes to test drive. That is where the discount lives. Today, we are breaking down 4 boring cars that still deliver real value, the exact years and trims that make sense, and why these ignored cars stay cheap for the right reason. Number 1 is the Toyota that most people dismiss until they finally drive it. Number 4, 2013 to 2016. Ford C-Max Hybrid. Awkward shape or not, the C-Max Hybrid is one of the smartest cheap dailies on the market because nobody ever wanted to be seen in one. That is the opportunity. The regular hybrid, especially a 2015 to 2016 SE or SEL, is the version to chase. Under the skin, you get a 2.0-liter hybrid setup, front-wheel drive, an eCVT-style transmission, 40 miles per gallon combined, and a very usable 24.5 cubic feet of cargo room. That is not fantasy efficiency. That is real-world usefulness in a body that people keep dismissing. Edmunds' appraisal guidance backs up the whole thesis, too. A clean condition 2015 can trade around the high $2,000 range, and private party money can sit in the mid $4,000 zone, which is exactly how a genuinely useful car becomes a steal. People hear Ford, see a tall hatch, and assume rental-grade weirdness. Meanwhile, they are walking past one of the cheapest ways into an efficient, roomy, easy-entry daily driver that older buyers, commuters, and practical families can actually use. What makes it special is not style. It is the mix of comfort, mileage, and packaging. Owner feedback leans heavily toward the same points: comfortable seats, strong gas mileage, decent space, and a cabin that works better than the shape suggests. The driving experience is easy, not exciting, and that is perfect here. You sit a little higher, the visibility is good enough, the controls are straightforward, and the hatch area makes groceries, bags, and small cargo fare easier than a same-money sedan. It also fits a very specific buyer better than most cheap cars do. If your knees are tired of dropping into low seats, if you want to see over traffic a bit better, or if you just want one affordable car that feels simple in town, the C-Max makes an immediate case. The cabin is roomy enough for real daily life, not just brochure life, and the hatch opening gives you flexibility that a plain compact sedan cannot match. Another thing people miss is how honest the fuel-saving story is. You are not buying fake adventure, fake luxury, or fake sport. You are buying lower fuel bills, a useful hatch, and a seating position that feels friendly every single day. It is also easier to defend to a spouse or a budget-minded family member because the story is so plain. Low fuel cost, easy entry, practical space, and a low buy-and-price beat style points every single time. Even the odd looks become a bonus once you realize they scare off shallow shoppers and keep the values soft. Cheap and useful is a rare combination now. That is a real advantage. That is why this Ford still deserves a serious look. Avoid the Energi if your goal is maximum hatch usefulness and simpler ownership, because the plug-in setup cuts into the cargo advantage that makes the regular hybrid so appealing. This is not the car you buy to impress anybody in a parking lot. This is the one you buy because it does daily life for cheaper money than the market thinks it should. That is why it belongs here. It is also a smart fit for retirees, delivery drivers, and anyone doing constant stop-and-go miles, because the hybrid setup shines where big sedans and thirsty crossovers waste money. The rear seat is more useful than the roofline suggests, and the upright body makes loading coolers, walkers, folding chairs, or a week of groceries much easier than in most compact cars. That kind of practical design is boring in the best possible way, and boring is exactly why the deal still exists right now. Number 3, 2014 to 2016, Buick LaCrosse. Retirement mobile jokes die fast once you spend an hour in a LaCrosse because the right one feels far closer to entry-level luxury than the badge, or the resale says it should. The best deal is the 3.6-liter V6 car with a 6-speed automatic, especially in leather group or premium 1 trim. That is the whole point of this pick. Skip the 2.4 e-assist if your goal is long-term simplicity and true smoothness, because the V6 better matches the mission of the car. Edmunds' appraisal values for a 2014 LaCrosse range from the high $2,000 level to just over $8,000, while real used listings often sit closer to $10,000 to $15,000. That spread is useful because it shows exactly how the market still struggles to price this thing. Buyers keep paying more for smaller, trendier sedans and soft-rotor crossovers that do not actually deliver this level of quiet, relaxed highway comfort. Edmunds' review language is almost blunt about it. The LaCrosse has a well-trimmed cabin and a very smooth, quiet ride, and owner feedback reinforces the same message again and again, with comments about comfort, silence, power, and a genuinely high-quality feel. That is what makes it special. You are getting a car that feels one step below Lexus money for used Chevy pricing, and the reason it stays soft is image, not weakness. Big sedans are unfashionable. Buick is invisible to image shoppers, and the people who should be buying cars like this are often too busy overpaying for a crossover that rides worse and gives them less peace at 70 miles per hour. Another advantage is the way the car settles into long drives. The seats are broad, the cabin is silent, the V6 is smooth, and the whole thing feels engineered to lower stress instead of create fake excitement. It also gives you the sort of backseat room and trunk space that many newer practical vehicles do not actually improve on. For buyers who do highway miles, carry adults, or simply want a more substantial feel for ordinary money, that matters a lot. That is why the LaCrosse works best for mature buyers who want a highway car, not a social media prop. It feels composed, settled, and unusually plush for the money. Most people say they want a comfortable commuter until they see one that actually prioritizes comfort over trend. Then they forget the mission and go back to shopping for shape, badge, and whatever feels newer. Cars like this are not supposed to be trendy. They are supposed to make daily life quieter, easier, and less tiring. That kind of value is getting harder to find. This is why this chapter matters. Big comfort for modest money still matters. Another thing buyers miss is how easy this car feels after a week of real use. The doors open wide, the seating height is friendly, and the controls are laid out in a way that does not ask for a learning curve if you have a long commute, carry clients, or just want a car that makes traffic less annoying. That matters more than some fake sporty badge ever will. The LaCrosse also gives you the kind of broad-shouldered, planted road feel that many lighter midsize sedans no longer bother with. It feels stable, substantial, and built to calm you down instead of waking you up. That is a rare quality now. If your idea of a good used car is something that feels calm, substantial, and more expensive than it is, the LaCrosse is exactly the kind of boring car the market forgot how to value properly. That is why the deal still exists. Subscribe if you want the boring cars that still make sense, not the same safe picks every lazy used car video keeps recycling for clicks. We are here for value, not recycled talking points. Number 2. 2013 to 2015 Honda Crosstour. Here is the Honda people laughed at for years, and that shallow reaction is exactly why the value still lives here today. The 2013 to 2015 Crosstour makes sense in EX or EXL trim, especially with the 2.4-liter four-cylinder and the 5-speed automatic if you want the calmer ownership story. The 3.5-liter V6 with the 6-speed automatic is still part of the picture, but only when the price is right and the history is clean, because the extra power comes with worse fuel economy and a higher buy-in, so the value only works when the discount is real. That difference matters. The market still sees the shape first and the usefulness second, and that is the opening. Edmunds' review notes for the 2014 car highlight the extra cargo room over the Accord sedan, the hatchback practicality, and the fact that it gives buyers a little more height and flexibility without going full crossover. That is the point. This thing never had an engineering crisis. It had an identity crisis. Buyers did not know whether to call it a wagon, a hatchback, or a crossover, so they mostly just moved on. Good. That kept the resale softer than it should have been. Edmunds' appraisal values on a 2014 Crosstour stretch from around $4,000 to a little over $12,000, depending on trim and condition, while current used listings for EXL cars often sit in the $10,000 to $14,000 zone and can push higher if they are clean. That is exactly the kind of spread smart buyers should study, because it shows how image and condition pull the market in two very different directions. What makes it special is how much real life it solves once you stop judging the roofline. You get Honda familiarity, a roomier cargo hold, easier entry height than a normal sedan, and a quiet, comfortable highway feel that still makes a lot of sense for commuters, retirees, and anyone who drives farther than the average coffee shop run. Owner feedback keeps circling the same strengths too: a useful space, a roomy cabin, and a feeling that the vehicle is more helpful than its styling ever suggested. Another thing people miss is how easy this car feels after a week of ownership. The hatch opening is wide, the load floor is practical, and the seating position feels more natural than many low sedans and more relaxed than some stiff-riding compact crossovers. It is also the kind of vehicle that quietly makes road trips better. Bags fit, adults fit, and the whole cabin settles into a smooth, grown-up rhythm on the highway. That is why it is a steal. The shape created a perception problem, not a usefulness problem. The market made a shallow decision, and patient buyers still get to exploit it. What should you avoid? 2010 to 2011. V6 cars if you want the cleanest ownership bet because the extra power is nice, but the older setup weakens the value case with worse fuel economy and less simple long-term math. And any all-wheel drive XL V6 that creeps too close to CRV money. Once that happens, the value story gets weaker, and the whole point of buying a boring Honda is to win the math, not lose it with your ego. It is not exciting in the way people brag about. It is useful in the way real owners remember. Subscribe if you want the right boring car for real life, not the shiny one that looks fresh for 6 months and loses value like crazy. Number 1. 2013 to 2015 Toyota Avalon. This is the big Toyota sedan people assume is dull, right up until they drive one and realize it feels much closer to entry-level luxury than ordinary transportation. That is why it finishes first. The 2013 to 2015 Avalon, especially in XLE or XLE touring trim, is the cleanest proof that a boring image can create an irrational discount. Under the hood, the main play is the 3.5-liter V6 with the 6-speed automatic. The hybrid exists, and it has its place, but the V6 is the one that best fits this title because it gives the car the kind of smooth, easy strength that makes long miles feel natural instead of forced. Edmunds said the 2014 Avalon kept its trademark room and comfort while gaining better cabin materials and easier-to-drive road manners, and that lines up perfectly with why the used value still feels so strange. This car is closer to an entry-level luxury sedan than a mainstream full-size sedan, but the market still hears big Toyota and starts yawning. That is the gift. Edmunds' appraisal values on a 2014 Avalon run from the mid-$5,000 range to just under $12,000, depending on trim and condition, while actual used listings often live in the mid-teens and can go higher for cleaner examples. That is a wide spread, and it tells the story. Buyers know it is good, but they still hesitate to pay up because the body style says practical, not exciting. What makes the Avalon special is the whole package. The cabin stays quiet, the seating is broad and supportive, the rear seat gives adults real space, and the driving manners are easy without drifting into floaty, old-school softness. It feels composed, mature, and very expensive in the ways that matter once the novelty of a flashy car wears off. Even owner feedback reflects that. A lot of buyers cross-shop the Lexus ES, then realize the Avalon gives them a very similar feeling for less money and less badge tax. That is exactly why this car is such a strong closer. It proves the whole thesis of the video. The market still treats big Toyota sedan like a throwaway category, while the real ownership case is excellent for anyone who wants quality, comfort, and low-drama, long-haul use. Another reason the Avalon lands so well is that it avoids the usual compromise you get with many boring cars. It is not just sensible, it is genuinely pleasant. The steering is light enough for daily use, the ride is settled, the cabin materials feel a step richer than people expect, and the V6 makes the car feel relaxed at highway speed in a way many four-cylinder sedans simply cannot match. It also has something many newer, interesting cars do not have: a sense of polish without tension. You get in, sit down, and everything feels settled. The doors shut with a solid feel. The gauges are readable, the visibility is good enough, and the whole car seems designed to make a normal driver feel comfortable instead of overwhelmed. That matters more than many buyers admit. Big doors, broad seats, and that long wheelbase calm make it feel more like a real interstate car than a mid-size pretending to be premium. For older buyers, easy entry and effortless road feel are not extras. They are why this car really keeps winning once the test drive turns into ownership. A boring car that stays calm every single day is often a much better buy than a flashy one that keeps asking for your patience. What should you avoid? Limited trims once the asking price starts drifting too close to a comparable Lexus ES350, because then the value case weakens. Also, make sure any 2014 example has had the fuel delivery pipe recall handled, because the smartest boring buy is still supposed to be a smart buy. That is why the XLE and XLE Touring stay in the sweet spot. They give you the real strengths without asking you to pay for a badge game you were trying to avoid in the first place. This is the one people keep underestimating because they hear boring and assume forgettable. But boring is exactly what makes it such a steal. It is the kind of car people buy once, drive for years, and slowly realize was far better than the market ever gave it credit for. Subscribe for the exact boring buys worth your money and the trims to skip instead of lazy all Toyotas are good talk or all old sedans are dead nonsense. Click the next video now because that is the used cars to avoid list, and you need both sides before you buy anything with your hard-earned money.